Afroman beat the cops in court. But here's what I keep getting asked. Can he flip it? Can he flip the script? Can he sue them for raiding his house, finding nothing, and charging nobody? The answer here is maybe. And the reason it's only maybe is one of the most controversial legal doctrines in America, qualified immunity. So here's where we are. Week 1, I talked about why the deputies lost. Week 2, I've talked about defamation law. So today is a civil rights lesson where the civil rights claim Afroman might bring and the wall, literal wall, he will need to get through in order to win. So this all comes down to what we call Section 1983, 42 U.S.C. 1983. It's the federal law that lets you sue a government official for violating your constitutional rights. It was passed back in Reconstruction specifically to hold state actors accountable for civil rights abuses. It's the main tool that citizens have to sue law enforcement in federal court. So Afroman's potential claim could be that the deputies violated his Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure. They came into his home, they found nothing, they charged nobody with anything. So if the warrant lacks sufficient probable cause, that is potentially a constitutional violation. But remember that wall I said he needed to get through? Well, here's what it is. And this is where it gets really problematic. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine that shields government officials from civil liability unless they violated a clearly established constitutional right. Meaning, courts have previously ruled that this exact type of conduct in similar circumstances is unconstitutional. So basically, you got to have like precedent. You got to have something like this that happened before. So that bar is really high. And officers can do something that courts later agree was wrong, but they can still walk free from civil liability because no prior case was factually identical enough to put them on notice. So basically, how was I supposed to know? Nobody told me, and there's no place where it's written that it's a problem. Now, qualified immunity was not created by Congress. It was invented by the Supreme Court, built up case by case over decades, starting in the 60s and expanding significantly through the 1980s. There is no statute that created it, and that matters because what courts built, courts can dismantle. And there has been growing pressure from justices on both sides of the aisle to revisit it. So here's Afroman's specific challenge. In order to get past qualified immunity, he would need to show that the deputies violated a clearly established right. Executing a warrant that comes back empty does not automatically equal an unconstitutional search. It depends on whether the warrant was properly supported at the time it was issued. So, if the probable cause affidavit was solid, so basically the facts that they gave to the judge, it was all real, it was solid, right? Qualified immunity is likely going to protect the cops, even if the result was zero evidence. But if the warrant was based on bad information, hello, Breonna Taylor, exaggerated claims, or fabricated evidence, that's a whole other discussion entirely. So, bottom line for you, Section 1983 exists to hold officers accountable. Qualified immunity was built to limit it. The result is a system where constitutional violations happen, courts acknowledge them, and officers still face no consequences. That tension right there, that's real. It hasn't been resolved, and reform efforts have stalled in Congress for years. So whether Afroman can win that case depends on facts we do not fully have publicly. But the legal framework, now you know what it is and what time it is. So, what's coming next week? They raided his home, and that gets us to no-knock warrants. So next Monday, I'm going to talk about what they are, when they are legal, what has gone wrong, including Breonna Taylor, and where the law stands on reform right now. Come on back next Monday and tell me in the comments, do you think qualified immunity should be abolished? Yes or no? And tell me why. I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva. Thanks for tuning in to Mondays with Melba. See you next week. Bye.